Hello, I'm Rex Childhouse, and because things on the internet seem to lose their date references pretty easily, today is Sunday, October 15th, 2023. On Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, we visited the Hogle Zoo in Salt Lake City, Utah. A nice zoo, good visit. We hit what we consider a prime time. There weren't a whole lot of people around. It was a nice day. The sun had come out. The sky was pretty clear. The caretakers, the tenders were taking care of the animals, feeding them. So we ended up with a fair amount of video, including some really a lot of video of the sea lions being taken care of. It was totally enjoyable. It's worth going, and here's a video to show our visit. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks. This is the outside entrance to the Hogle Zoo in Salt Lake City. Really nice parking lot, nice entrance. Pay your admission fees, walk through the wickets. Once you walk in, here's this display of these two giraffe statues, which were three. Some artist had a lot of fun probably building that. And we found this elephant tree, I guess you want to call it, whatever, which explained that James and Mary Hogle were the ones that initiated the zoo back in 1931, and they gave it to the children of Salt Lake City and Utah. Zoos are getting away from maps. Museums are getting away from maps. They're going to QR codes. Hey, shoot it with your phone and use your map, and that drags my batteries down. I like to keep the maps and printed maps and as references, so I kind of disagree with that issue, but I lose for ecology. Once we were in, I'm not sure what display we were near, we found this exhibit wire we called the Hogle Zoo. It all began with a princess, and the story shown on the boards is a traveling circus came through Salt Lake City. The children loved the Princess Alice elephant. They managed to scrape up enough money to purchase it, to purchase the animal. They put the animal in the then Salt Lake City Zoo. The pen was too small. Alice was too smart. She figured out how to get out. She did it evidently frequently and had fun through the yards, and they didn't appreciate that, and the need to keep Alice safe and secure and to be seen and visited by the children. We ended up with the Hogle Zoo, which is a cute story. The signage at the museum is really good. This is an example of it, and this was one of several signs out in front of this common area. Here's a couple of still photos of the common area, and I've been to Africa courtesy of the United States Navy a couple of times. This is representative of where you would see these animals in the wild on the plains of Africa. I was in Kenya outside of Mombasa and Nairobi and on safaris, and I'm going to let you watch the animals work. At places like zoos and aquariums, I prefer to shoot video if I can get my batteries to last that long. Here's the ostrich. He was just standing there, so it's a still photo. I love the movie The Lion King. I think it has a lot of lessons for life, and this exhibit just brought The Lion King back to the front of my memory, because it's talking about the circle of life and how water fuels the circle of life. Good signage as throughout the zoo, as I've already mentioned, about the animals. The problem is it was a kind of bright sunny day, and you're trying to shoot some photos, and they're not always well lit. The lions were out. They were kind of having fun, and I got some movies up there.
You want to ride? Do you want to walk? Do you want to get out?
The zoo, as zoos should be in my opinion, was educational. They had a couple of exhibits that were purely educational. Here's their tracking collar, and later on you'll see on the elephant's legs they're preparing to transport their elephants to another zoo for breeding purposes. And this is a tracking collar that they would use with the lions and the tigers, large cats, major cats, and they're talking about the snares that are used in Africa to keep these animals away from the population, and it was an anti-statement. These snares are not appropriate for that use. It was a pretty nice day. It wasn't real warm. It was fairly early in the morning. Many of the animals were active, so I'm going to kind of run through some still photos. If the animals weren't active, I didn't take videos. I'm going to run through some still photos, and where I've got videos, I'm going to let you do those videos. We start with the black howler monkey, and then we move on to the Columbus monkey. Keep wanting to
ours were always on that island, and you can never see them. Pretty.
I will use the term distraught. We were talking to the staff while we were over by the elephants. We noted the tracking collars that were put around their ankles, and you can see them in the photos as you leaf through, as the photos pop up. The animals, the elephants, are being acclimated to being transferred. Both of them are going to be transferred to another zoo. The staff didn't know why. We suspect that it was for breeding purposes, because you don't want to keep, you want diversity in the breeding lines. We can only suspect why they're being transferred. There are a number of things in the zoo and the Hogle Zoo to keep the children busy, to keep them amused other than animals. This light tower, you can climb up and you'll see some of the images and the views around it. The water fountains in certain areas are characterized, I think would be the proper term. So it was enjoyable. The kids were not ignored. They would have several things to do. From the top of that lighthouse, this is a view of, this is the place, a historic park for the LDS Church, Church of Latter-day Saints, and we would be up there in a couple of hours. Really interesting view. Followed by, this is the Utah Natural History Museum, which we had already done. Hundreds of dinosaurs in this museum. Fantastic place to visit. And this is the little water park right underneath the lighthouse. It's themed. You see the boat in the back, the wreck ship in the back, and it's themed to be fun for the kids. It wasn't active while we were there, or there were no kids on it. We weren't going to walk on it and find out if the water jets worked. We've seen bald eagles in numerous zoos that we visited, and every one has been in there because it was injured while it was in free flight in nature, and could no longer survive in the wild. So it was inside a zoo, being protected and being preserved as it should be, as the national symbol. This was a beautiful bird. We got over by the harbor seals and sea lions while the caretakers were doing their routine exercises with them and their care interactions with them. And I'm just going to let you watch it. We stood and watched this for 45 minutes.
down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's there.
I saw that.
Yes, everybody. Got cookies? Two rounds. Hey Megan, this fell out of your pocket. Whatever you do, don't stress. Tack row and least priority. Things at the point. All right. Yep. Go back. Go. There's me. Come. Water. Water.
Let's go. That's the way.
Okay. Oh, it's rolling. I like the airplane.
No, I don't think so. One pound?
One pound.
Almost done. You're doing great, Megan. Nice job, Megan. You did really good. You got maybe a minute on two of them.
These harbor seals were also extremely active than usual. Unfortunately, the glass is extremely reflective, and there are just times you want to spend
Upside
your batteries
down.
on one animal.
What is a seal? Seal, and
There are things that come across just as cute. I enjoy animals. I love watching the animals. I love learning about them. On one of the Disney movies, I believe it's a Disney movie, it's called The Red Panda. It's a really cute movie, and the Hogle Zoo has red pandas. We've seen Siberian tigers listed as such on display in numerous places. We've seen them listed in places as snow tigers and then sublisted as Siberians. I've never seen them listed as MR tigers, but the signage explains that this is from the name comes from the region they're in. He wasn't real active. He was just laying down. They had several of these displays in the Hogle Zoo, and showing the differences in the anatomy, the structure, the bone structure of the various animals. Another MR animal. This one is a leopard. They are from eastern Siberia into northeastern China. And this guy was kind of active, so we have some video of it.
Hungry.
I don't think we've ever seen a Paulus cat before. Unfortunately, it was taking a nap partially in the shadows. This looked like literally like a house cat. It was beautiful from what we could see. Part of the educational aspect of the Hogle Zoo is signs like this, and they're talking about how cats are key to maintaining the ecological balance of a region. This particular presentation covers both Asia and in Utah. Now, in Yellowstone National Park, my understanding from the Nat Geo type movie videos is many years ago they literally took the wolf out of the park, and the park started to deteriorate because they'd lost the ecological balance. Now they put the wolf back in. The park has started to revive itself in its natural balance, which is kind of cool. The Turkmenian markhor kind of looks like a reindeer, obviously a relative, and we had a video of him because there was a bird tending to him, and the bird was picking out bugs from his coat. Unfortunately, the camera focused on the chain link fence of his cage, and we didn't get a good video. Exotic animals we've never seen before or heard of before are in the zoo. Some exotic animals that we've seen have alternate names, and this particular exhibit is the common raven. We have ravens, blackbirds, and crows on our property, and trying to figure out which one is which primarily focuses on the beak, and once you establish the beak, how big it is. We see red-tailed hawks all the time, and they come and sit on our fence and keep our songbirds away from the feeders. The Indian peafowl kind of looked like he was active. He came up, he stood in one spot, then he took about 7 steps away and stopped again. Looked like he was looking for insects or seeds on the ground. We have bobcats in our area, naturally. We haven't seen them very often, but we do see them.
Not very often, but they do come.
You're in our area.
Yep.
My paw. Come on over here. Those people aren't interesting. We're more interesting over here.
And back to the Lion King, they did have this meerkat on display, and the meerkats were out and sunning themselves, feeling rather secure in their little habitat. And alongside them was a warthog. We didn't see a warthog animal on display, but they had this casting for the kids to have fun with. It's a problem with a well-designed display. The Western Lowland Gorilla, I was trying to get a good shot of him. No matter what I did, I ended up with an obstacle in front of me, so I got pieces of body parts, I guess. The Bornean orangutans were having fun with these blankets. Unfortunately, well, we got some of the video. Every time we turned off the camera, they seemed to get more active. Turned the camera back on, and by the time the camera came back on, set up, they were back to just minor stuff.
And
Looks like they're both covered.
Touring places like Thailand and Singapore, you see alligator farms, and there are hundreds of alligators in those farms, all fed for two things: for the meat and for the skin. And these are Siamese crocodiles, and this one was just out laying in the sun. There were quite a few birds on display in they had a birdhouse, I guess, and white-throated ground dove, which didn't look like he was on the ground, but that's okay. What a beautiful bird, and really nice shot. He posed for the shots. We haven't seen a red cardinal or a northern cardinal loose in the wild in a long time, and this guy was just sitting out there, and a number of the birds just seemed to, okay, I'll stand here, I'll roost here, and you can take my photo, which was nice. I appreciated that. Sometimes shot and profile don't come out quite so well because there's too much lighting in the background. Here's the mourning dove, and as the signage explains, the mourning dove is named such because of its mournful sound, as if it has had a heartbreaking experience. The beaded lizard, which is one of the southwest into Mexico desert lizards, is one of the venomous lizards. The signage explains how this works. They do have a toxin, a venom, that's in their lower jaws evidently, and they have to chew you to get the venom into you, and it's usually not fatal. It may make you ill, very ill, but it's usually not fatal to humans. But once they bite you, they have to hold for a couple of seconds before they can release you, according to the signage, which makes it quite painful. Kaiser's mountain newt was down in his water, was underwater, was just laying there. I took several seconds of video, then decided I was going to take a still shot of him, took the still shot, and as we left, he was still laying there like he was waiting for something to happen. In Southern California, San Diego County, west of the mountain ridge lines, we have numerous species of rattlesnakes. I've never seen a banded rattlesnake, banded rock rattlesnake, never heard of one before. This explains that they are in the southwest United States. It looks like it's Arizona, Utah, Nevada, that type of area. And it talks about their coloration. There's a slight coloration difference between the males and the females, with the males having a greenish tint to their scales. The signage for the common spider tortoise contains some information I'd read about, and it's talked about on a couple of the television shows, like the Nat Geo shows. The survival species survival plan, and that's where zoos exchange animals in their breeding programs so that the animals do not inbreed bad traits. So they keep diversity inside of their breeding programs.
Trying to keep the reflections at a minimum, and it's a task.
Argentine black and white tegu, I would assume is how it's pronounced. I'm just guessing. The signage addresses an interesting animal. This animal is partially warm-blooded. It has temperature control over its body during the reproductive season, so which is unusual. Most reptiles are cold-blooded. As it gets cold, they get inactive. As it gets too warm, they cannot be active because they'll overheat. In Southern California, we have numerous indigenous species of owls. We have the screech owl, and we hear him every once in a while. Great horned owls will come and sit on our telephone poles in the area and watch for prey running around at night. We have hoot owls, which we love to hear while we're out on our walks. This guy was just sitting up there waiting to have his photo taken. The blood python comes from Eastern Asia, and usually you don't see snakes moving around a lot. A snake has a very slow digestive system, so when it does eat, it normally just lays there until it digests its food and then waits for another meal. This one was moving a little bit, so video time.
Ooh. Blood python.
Can you see its head?
Sorry?
Can you see its head?
Right there. No, that's his body. See the body.
One of those things that just makes me laugh. Pancake tortoise. Pancakes get butter and syrup. Waffles get butter and jelly. The pancake tortoise resembles his name. He is incredibly flat. The Arabian sandcat was taking a nap. Never seen or heard of these before. The signage does talk about the fact that their ears evidently help them cool, so they're like an elephant. Their ears are radiators for blood to dissipate the heat of the body. Kind of interesting creature. Looks like he's through the Middle East. Insects of the world. This was a huge display. Numerous insects obviously on display. I wish there was more correlation as to where these creatures came from on the globe. I'd like to know which animals, which insects are associated with, in particular, the areas I've been, because I've had some really interesting bites. I didn't see a lot of signage for the African Cape porcupine, but he was active, so I hit the video button. The rhinoceros iguana, unfortunately he's kind of backlit, but he's laying there on that branch. He's got a couple of bumps on his snoot, and that's how he picked up his name. The rhinoceros were having breakfast. Their feed had been put on the ground, so they were munching on it. One of the little kids asked why they were blindfolded, and they are not blindfolded, as most people know. These are just clear mesh to keep insects, bugs, flies out of their eyes. You do the same thing for horses and for other livestock in areas where flies and flying insects bother the animal's eyes. Well, I thought the signage at the Hogle Zoo was really good. This is one I missed, or they missed, and I suspect I missed. It was a spoonbill something or another, because there's several species of spoonbills, and he was just pruning himself. There were a number of things around the zoo to make the kids laugh. This is a water fountain, and you get to put your head in in the lion's mouth and drink water, and in the background are a couple of statues, castings for kids to climb on, get their photos taken. It was kind of cool. My wife used a water fountain, which was it generated a fair amount of laughs. And then you had things like these bears out there for kids to climb on and kids to have fun. This cat, not sure exactly which type, whether it was a puma, mountain lion, cougar, whatever, or whether it was Siberian. I'm not sure. It wasn't specified. It was just out there for child amusement. They did have a train. Now, one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to ride on the train. I'm looking at the train tracks, and these do not look used. It looks that they're not shiny. And I asked one of the people at the zoo if the train was running today, and the response was no. And it was kind of like the train doesn't run, but it's advertised as having an operating train. Signage for the river otter, and all we found for the river otter was this statue. I don't think they were out. I actually think the exhibit was under repair or renovation, which was okay. You need to do maintenance. And along the side of the trail by the sea lions and harbor seals was this presentation of commercial fishing and sustainable commercial fishing. So the Hogle Zoo is doing a educational development, educational interest. Okay, there's not a lot of saltwater fishing in Utah, but they are talking about how the fishing industry does affect Utah, how the fishing industry affects the environment of the world. So the zoo is doing a degree of that. We spent about 2.5 to 3 hours at the Hogle Zoo. It was totally enjoyable. It is on the medium-sized zoo as far as the zoos we've visited. It was very enjoyable. The signage is good. We enjoyed it. It's a place that if we go back through Salt Lake City and we have the time, we'll probably do again, because a couple of their exhibits were under repair, under renovation, or their animals were off viewing. It's worth the trip.
That's the way. Okay.